I never expected my ordinary family life to fall apart in a single evening. For 5 years, my wife Sophia and I built what I thought was a perfect marriage. We had regular family gatherings with my sister Amanda and her husband Jack, creating memories and sharing laughter. But last Sunday everything changed. Jack pulled Sophia into the kitchen during our family dinner, and when she returned her face was pale with shock. Jack told my wife he was in love with her. Before I tell you how this destroyed my family, let me know where you are watching from. Take a second to subscribe, because what I discovered next changed everything we thought we knew about Jack. Family meant everything to me growing up in Portland. My sister Amanda and I were always close, despite the 2-year age gap between us. We supported each other through tough times and celebrated the good ones together. When I met Sophia at my college friend's wedding 6 years ago, I knew she was special from our first conversation. She had this warm laugh that made everyone around her feel at ease, and those deep brown eyes that seemed to look right through you. After a year of dating, I proposed on a hiking trip to Multnomah Falls, and we had a beautiful ceremony in my parents' backyard, surrounded by everyone we loved. Amanda met Jack 7 years ago when she started working at our family real estate business. He had joined the company a year before as a financial advisor and charmed everyone with his confident personality and business savvy. My sister fell hard for him, and I was happy to see her so in love. Their wedding was elaborate and perfect, just like their relationship seemed to be. Our family dynamics shifted into something even better once both couples were married. We started Sunday dinner traditions where we would rotate hosting duties between our homes. Holidays became these big, joyful gatherings where Jack would carve the turkey at Thanksgiving and lead the Christmas gift exchange. Summer meant barbecues in my backyard, where Jack and I would stand by the grill discussing sports and cracking jokes. Jack and I developed what I thought was a genuine brotherhood. We went on fishing trips to the Columbia River where we would spend hours talking about our hopes and plans for the future. We watched Portland Trail Blazers games together, high-fiving over beers when they won. I really believed I had gained not just a brother-in-law, but a true friend. The friendship between our couples was something special too. Sophia and Amanda quickly became best friends, going shopping together and having regular coffee dates. The 4 of us had standing game nights twice a month, where we played cards and board games, until late, laughing until our sides hurt. We even took a couple's vacation to the Oregon coast last summer, renting a beach house for a week, and making memories I thought would last a lifetime. My career as a software developer was going well, allowing us to buy our first home in a nice neighborhood. Sophia loved her job teaching kindergarten at the local elementary school, coming home with adorable stories about her 5-year-old students. Amanda and Jack seemed to be thriving too, with Jack eventually becoming the financial director at what was now their family business. Last Christmas stands out in my memory as the last time everything felt perfect. We gathered at my parents' house, and I remember watching Jack help my dad hang lights outside while Amanda and Sophia baked cookies in the kitchen. I felt so content, so certain that we would all grow old together watching our future children play during these same holiday gatherings. We talked about our future plans openly. Sophia and I had started trying for a baby, and Amanda mentioned she and Jack were considering it too. We even joked about buying houses on the same street someday, so our kids could grow up together just like Amanda and I had. I saw Jack as this role model of loyalty and stability. He would bring Amanda flowers for no reason, and speak about her with such admiration when she was not around. At least, that is what I thought I was seeing. I never imagined that beneath that perfect exterior, something very different was brewing. The first signs that something was off appeared gradually, so subtle, I almost missed them. About a year ago, Jack started drinking more heavily at our gatherings. What used to be 2 beers during a football game became 4 or 5 plus whiskey. I noticed it but did not think much of it initially. We all go through stressful periods at work, right? Then I started noticing how Jack would position himself near Sophia at family events. If we were all in the living room, he would make sure to sit next to her. If she went to the kitchen to grab more snacks, he would suddenly need something from there too. It was subtle enough that I questioned whether I was imagining things. Last Thanksgiving was when I first felt truly uncomfortable. We were all cooking in my parents' kitchen when Jack brushed up against Sophia reaching for a serving dish. Nothing overtly inappropriate, but the contact lingered a second too long and I caught a look of discomfort flash across my wife's face. When I asked her about it later, she dismissed it, saying the kitchen had been crowded. Then came the pool party at Amanda and Jack's house in July. Sophia was wearing a modest one-piece swimsuit, nothing revealing. Jack commented, "Sophia, you must work out a lot. You look amazing in that swimsuit." The compliment itself might have been innocent enough coming from someone else, but the way his eyes lingered made my stomach turn. Amanda was right there, but she seemed not to notice busy arranging food on the patio table. The text messages started a month after that. Sophia showed me her phone one night, confused and uncomfortable. Jack had texted her at 11:30 at night asking for marriage advice because he and Amanda were going through a rough patch. Why would he text my wife that late? Why not talk to me, his supposed best friend? That night, Sophia confided that something felt off about Jack's behavior toward her. "I do not know how to explain it, Chase, but the way he looks at me sometimes makes me uncomfortable. I thought I was imagining it at first. I made excuses for him. Jack has been stressed at work. I am sure he does not mean anything by it. I did not want to believe my brother-in-law could be inappropriate with my wife. I did not want to cause drama in the family over what might be nothing, but the incidents continued. At a dinner at my parents' house, Jack monopolized the conversation with Sophia, asking detailed questions about her day, her work, her interests, while barely acknowledging anyone else at the table. I watched him watching her, when he thought no one was looking, his eyes following her movements across the room. Meanwhile, Amanda seemed increasingly withdrawn. The vibrant, confident sister I knew was becoming quieter, more anxious. She would check her phone constantly when Jack was not around, and jump slightly when he entered a room. I tried asking her if everything was okay several times, but she always gave the same tight smile, and assured me everything was fine. When I attempted to talk to Jack about his drinking one day after he showed up to Sunday dinner already intoxicated, he became defensive. "What are you, my mother? I work hard. I deserve to relax." The conversation ended there with an uncomfortable tension hanging between us. The dynamic at family gatherings changed. Sophia started making sure she was never alone in a room with Jack. She would squeeze my hand in silent communication when he sat too close or made an inappropriate comment disguised as a joke. I started feeling a constant low-level anxiety whenever we had plans with them. Amanda seemed to be actively ignoring Jack's behavior. When he made questionable comments or drank too much, she would change the subject or laugh it off. I wondered if this was a coping mechanism, or if she truly did not see what was happening. The suggestion that pushed Sophia over the edge came 3 weeks ago. Jack called me about planning a surprise couples weekend getaway for our anniversaries, which were a month apart. "I found this great cabin with only 2 bedrooms. Very cozy," he said. When I mentioned it to Sophia, her reaction was immediate. "I do not want to go, Chase. Being in a remote cabin with Jack makes me nervous." That was when I finally acknowledged to myself that something was seriously wrong. The night everything fell apart was supposed to be a normal family dinner at our house. Sophia had prepared her famous lasagna, and everyone was supposed to arrive at 6. My parents called last minute to cancel because my dad had a cold, so it was just going to be the 4 of us. Jack and Amanda arrived 30 minutes late. Jack was already visibly intoxicated, his words slightly slurred and his movements exaggerated. Amanda looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, and her smile not quite reaching them. She brought a bottle of wine as a hostess gift, apologizing for their tardiness. "Traffic was bad," she explained, though I knew their house was only 15 minutes away. Throughout dinner, Jack drank heavily, polishing off most of the wine bottle by himself. His jokes became increasingly inappropriate with sexual innuendos that made everyone at the table uncomfortable. Amanda kept trying to steer the conversation towards safe topics like the renovation they were planning for their backyard. Sophia was quieter than usual, responding politely but briefly whenever Jack addressed her directly. After we finished eating, Amanda offered to help Sophia clear the table, while Jack and I moved to the living room. At least that was the plan. I went to the bathroom first, and when I came out, I noticed Jack was not in the living room. I heard voices in the kitchen, and assumed everyone was still cleaning up. I was scrolling through Netflix options when Sophia appeared in the living room doorway, her face drained of color. Her hands were shaking slightly, as she gestured for me to follow her to our bedroom. Once inside, with the door closed, she told me words I will never forget. Chase Jack just cornered me in the kitchen while Amanda was in the bathroom. He told me he has been in love with me for years. He tried to touch my face, and when I backed away, he said we had a special connection that I was too afraid to acknowledge. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Something inside me snapped. All the small incidents, the discomfort, the warning signs I had dismissed came rushing back. I stormed out of the bedroom, found Jack pouring himself another drink in the kitchen, and confronted him directly. "Did you just tell my wife you are in love with her?" I demanded loud enough that Amanda, returning from the bathroom, froze in the hallway. Jack's expression shifted from surprise to a strange defensive anger. "She has been flirting with me for months," he slurred. "Always seeking me out, laughing at my jokes, touching my arm. Do not act like you have not noticed." Sophia gasped behind me. "That is a complete lie. I have been avoiding you because you make me uncomfortable." What happened next shocked me even more than Jack's confession. Amanda stepped forward, but instead of confronting her husband, she turned on Sophia. "I have seen how you act around him," she said, her voice cold. "Always trying to get his attention, dressing up when you know we are coming over." The room exploded into chaos. Sophia was in tears, trying to defend herself against these outrageous accusations. I was shouting at Jack, who kept insisting that Sophia had been sending him signals. Amanda was crying too, but backing up her husband's version of events rather than seeing the truth. My mind was reeling. How could my sister believe this? How could she turn against Sophia, who had been nothing but a loving friend and sister-in-law? When I pointed this out, Amanda shot back. "You just cannot see it because you think Sophia is perfect. She has everyone fooled." The argument continued to escalate until Jack suggested they should leave. As they gathered their things, he had the audacity to say I was just being honest about my feelings. "Is that such a crime?" Amanda followed him out without another word to either of us, her loyalty apparently unwavering despite his betrayal. The drive home was filled with a deafening silence. Sophia stared out the window, tears streaming down her face. Back at our house, as we sat in our kitchen trying to process what had happened, she revealed something even worse. Chase, he did not just confess his feelings. He tried to kiss me. When I pushed him away, that is when he got angry and said I had been leading him on. Her voice broke. How can Amanda believe him over me? After all these years of friendship, that night as Sophia finally fell into an exhausted sleep, I lay awake, rage and betrayal burning through me. My brother-in-law had tried to kiss my wife. My sister had chosen to believe his lies, and somehow we were the ones being painted as the villains. The next morning I tried calling Amanda, but she refused to answer. Instead, I received text messages from both my parents, who had apparently heard Jack and Amanda's version of events. "Family problems should stay private," my mother wrote. "We need to all sit down and work this out calmly." My father was more direct. "Sophia may have misunderstood Jack's intentions. He is going through a tough time at work." I felt like I was living in some alternate reality where up was down. Not only had my brother-in-law betrayed my trust in the worst possible way, but my own family seemed to be taking his side. The isolation was overwhelming. Sophia received a group text from her girlfriends about an upcoming ladies' night that conspicuously excluded her, making it clear that Amanda had been busy sharing her distorted version of events. The strain on our marriage was immediate. Sophia questioned whether I fully believed her. I assured her repeatedly that I did, but the seed of doubt my family had planted made her insecure. We had arguments over nothing, both of us raw and on edge. I caught her crying in the shower one morning, and it broke my heart knowing my family was causing her this pain. 2 weeks after that disastrous dinner, my phone rang at 11 at night. It was Amanda, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "I need you to come over," she managed between gasps. "Please, Chase." I would not ask if it was not an emergency. Despite everything, she was still my sister. I told Sophia where I was going and drove to Amanda's house, finding her alone, her eyes swollen from crying, clutching a laptop to her chest. "Jack is staying at a hotel tonight," she said as she let me in. We had a huge fight, and I started looking through his things after he left. I found these. She opened the laptop and showed me Jack's email account, which he had apparently left logged in. There were dozens of inappropriate messages between him and multiple women, some dating back years, some were colleagues, others were real estate clients, and 2 were friends of Amanda's. As I scrolled through the evidence of Jack's serial infidelity, Amanda broke down again. "There is more," she whispered, leading me to their home office. She unlocked a filing cabinet and pulled out financial documents from the family business. "He has been moving money around. I think he has been stealing from the company from my family." Over the next several hours, we discovered the horrifying truth. Jack had been embezzling funds from the real estate business for at least 3 years, creating fake expenses and diverting money to personal accounts. The amount started small, but had grown bolder over time. We estimated the total close to $400,000. Further investigation revealed an even darker picture. Jack had done this before. Amanda found old news articles about a financial advisory firm in Seattle, where Jack had worked before moving to Portland. He had left under suspicious circumstances, though no charges had been filed. He had never mentioned this part of his past to any of us. The next day, Amanda and I met with a private investigator who specialized in financial fraud. Within 48 hours, he had uncovered even more. Jack maintained a secret apartment downtown under a different name paid for with company funds. The investigator found evidence that Jack had been planning to leave Amanda for months, gradually moving money to accounts she could not access. When Amanda confronted her parents with the evidence, they initially refused to believe it. There must be some explanation, her father insisted. Jack has been such an asset to the company. Their denial only compounded Amanda's pain. She finally broke down and admitted that Jack had been emotionally abusive for years, gradually isolating her from friends, controlling their finances, and making her doubt her own perceptions. "The man I thought was a loving husband had been manipulating my sister in plain sight, and none of us had noticed." The business itself was now in jeopardy. Some of the money Jack had embezzled came from client escrow accounts, which could result in the company losing its license if the state real estate commission found out. Amanda's parents finally grasped the severity of the situation when their lawyer explained the potential consequences. Despite all this evidence, some family members still suggested we should handle this privately and avoid scandal. My mother worried about what people would think if this became public. My father, stunned by the financial crimes, but still somehow missing the point, had the audacity to tell me, "If you had not made such a big deal about what happened with Sophia, we might never have had to deal with any of this." That was my breaking point. My own father was suggesting that we should have ignored Jack's inappropriate behavior toward my wife, that exposing his betrayal was somehow worse than the betrayal itself. Meanwhile, Sophia was still being treated like she had done something wrong, excluded from family gatherings, and whispered about by people who should have supported her. Amanda's health began to suffer under the strain. She lost weight rapidly, could not sleep, and had frequent panic attacks. Watching my confident, vibrant sister reduced to this shell of herself because of Jack's actions filled me with a cold fury I had never experienced before. My belief in my family was shattered. The people who raised me to value honesty and integrity were now suggesting we sweep criminal behavior under the rug to save face. The sister who had always been my ally had turned against my wife out of misplaced loyalty to a manipulative husband. The foundation I had built my life upon was crumbling, and I did not know if it could ever be repaired. I realized that waiting for others to do the right thing was pointless. It was time to take control of the situation myself. The next morning, I helped Amanda find a reputable forensic accountant to document every instance of embezzlement in detail. I connected her with the best divorce attorney in Portland, who immediately filed emergency orders to freeze assets and prevent Jack from accessing business accounts. Armed with the evidence we had gathered, I tracked Jack to his secret apartment. The look on his face when he opened the door and saw me standing there is something I will never forget. For a moment, raw panic flashed in his eyes before he composed himself. "We need to talk," I said, pushing past him into the apartment. Inside, I laid out everything we had discovered. The women, the embezzlement, the secret life he had been building while destroying my sister. "You have 2 choices," I told him. You can come clean to the entire family, return every penny you stole, and face the consequences of your actions. Or we can let the police and the real estate commission handle this. Your choice. His attempts to manipulate me fell flat. First, he tried to minimize what he had done. Then he attempted to shift blame to Amanda for not giving him enough attention. Finally, he offered money for my silence. Each strategy only strengthened my resolve. When my parents called a family meeting to discuss the situation and find a resolution, I came prepared. I brought copies of financial records, email printouts, and the investigator's report. As family members began suggesting compromises and ways to move forward as a family, I stood up and silenced the room. This is not about forgiveness or family harmony, I said. This is about holding someone accountable for criminal behavior and emotional abuse. Anyone who suggests Sophia did anything wrong or that we should protect Jack to avoid embarrassment is complicit in his behavior. I set clear boundaries. I would not attend any family event where Jack was welcome. I would not pretend things were okay for the sake of appearances. And I would support Amanda through whatever legal actions she chose to take. Some family members were shocked by my stance, but I remained firm. Working with Amanda's business partners, we implemented new financial controls to protect the company. I spent evenings helping her sort through years of manipulated records, building a case that would be impossible to dismiss. When Jack realized we were serious, he finally admitted to everything in writing, hoping for leniency. Throughout all this, I wanted to physically hurt Jack for what he had done to our family. The thought of him trying to kiss Sophia while married to my sister made my blood boil, but I knew that violence would only make things worse and give him something to use against us. Instead, I channeled that energy into methodically dismantling the life he had built on lies. By exposing Jack's pattern of behavior to mutual friends and business associates, I ensured he could not simply move on to manipulate another family. This was not about revenge, but protection. Other women deserved to know what kind of man he really was. Amanda moved into our guest room during the initial divorce proceedings. Despite everything that had happened, Sophia welcomed her with open arms, showing a grace and forgiveness that humbled me. Slowly, Amanda began to see how she had been manipulated into turning against the people who truly loved her. 6 months later, our family landscape had completely transformed. Jack was gone, facing both divorce proceedings and potential criminal charges for the embezzlement. Amanda had started therapy, beginning the long process of understanding how she had been manipulated and rebuilding her sense of self. The family business was recovering with new safeguards in place, and Amanda taking a more active leadership role. My parents had finally come to terms with the truth about Jack offering long overdue apologies to both Sophia and me for their initial reactions. We were wrong, my father admitted during a quiet dinner at our house. We should have trusted you both from the beginning. The relationship between Amanda and Sophia took the longest to heal. The accusations had cut deep, but gradually through honest conversations and shared tears they began rebuilding their friendship. I watched with pride as Sophia extended forgiveness, even though she had done nothing wrong, understanding that Amanda had been another of Jack's victims. Our marriage had emerged stronger from the ordeal. Sophia and I had faced the worst kind of betrayal from family and stood united throughout. We learned to communicate more openly about uncomfortable situations and trust our instincts when something feels wrong. Amanda eventually started dating again, this time with healthier boundaries and a clearer understanding of relationship red flags. She became an advocate for financial literacy among women, sharing her story as a warning about how financial abuse often accompanies emotional manipulation. We created new family traditions to replace the ones that had been tainted by Jack's presence. Sunday dinners resumed this time, with an emphasis on honest communication rather than maintaining appearances. Holiday celebrations became more genuine without the undercurrent of tension that we had all pretended not to notice. The personal growth I experienced through this ordeal changed me profoundly. I learned that standing for truth sometimes means standing alone, at least temporarily. I discovered that real loyalty is not about blind support, but about having the courage to confront painful realities for the good of those you love. Sophia never wavered in her support despite being treated horribly by people she had considered family. Her strength and integrity throughout the ordeal only deepened my love and respect for her. "I knew you would believe me," she told me one night as we reflected on everything that had happened. That certainty gave me the strength to face everything else. Family counseling helped address the deeper wounds that Jack's betrayal had exposed. We learned that many of our family dynamics had been unhealthy long before Jack arrived, with too much emphasis on appearances and conflict avoidance. Together, we began building something more authentic. 1 year after that fateful dinner, we gathered to celebrate Amanda's divorce being finalized. The mood was not vengeful but peaceful, marking the end of a painful chapter and the beginning of healing. The family business was thriving under new management, with Amanda playing a key role in its revival. Sophia and I announced that we were expecting our first child, news that brought tears of joy to everyone present. Amanda would be the godmother, a role she accepted with emotional gratitude. The journey of healing was painful at first, full of raw emotions and difficult conversations. But as the months passed, the necessity of that pain became clear. Without confronting the truth about Jack, our family would have continued living a lie, with the poison of his manipulation spreading further. Amanda pulled me aside at the celebration and thanked me through tears. "You had the courage to stand up when everyone else wanted to look away," she said. "You saved not just me, but our whole family." I learned that trusting your instincts when something feels wrong is not paranoia but wisdom. The small discomforts I had dismissed were actually warning signs that should have been heeded sooner. I will never ignore such signals again. Real family loyalty means facing hard truths together, not enabling destructive behavior to maintain peace. Love sometimes requires confrontation rather than comfort. The family members who initially rejected this notion eventually came to understand its wisdom. Standing firm when it would be easier to look away is one of the hardest choices I have ever made, but also the most necessary. By refusing to accept Jack's behavior, or the family's attempt to normalize it, we forced a reckoning that ultimately saved my sister and our family business. The hardest moments of this ordeal revealed who truly loved whom. Some relationships proved shallow and conditional, while others showed unexpected depth and resilience. I now value authenticity over appearance in all my relationships. We rebuilt our family on a foundation of honesty, rather than comfortable lies. It is not always easier, but it is stronger and more genuine than what we had before. I would rather face uncomfortable truths together than comfortable fiction apart. True strength, I discovered, lies not in avoiding conflict, but in protecting those you love, even when it costs you dearly. And sometimes, the family you build through choice and loyalty proves stronger than the one you were born into. Have you ever had to stand up against your own family to protect someone you love? Let me know in the comments below. This journey taught me that speaking truth is never easy but always necessary. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that rebuilding after betrayal is possible when you have the courage to face the truth.